It is 7:01 PM on the first day of May 2025. As presiding officer, I hereby call this meeting of the Vernonia Rural Fire Protection District Budget Committee to order. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Public comments will be accepted during the public comment section of the agenda. Please rise for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we need a roll call of folks present. We're going to start here.
Board Secretary Charlotte Tannery.
Board member James Pizarski.
Citizen Shannon Harness.
Perfect.
Lieutenant Carr and Budget Officer.
Chief,
Greg Brody, Fire Chief.
and do you want to introduce our on air?
Yeah, online we've got Steve Weller, Budget Committee member, we're doing the transcription, and his wife Pamela, and also on his board member James George.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, I think we're turning this over to our budget officer. Oh, I'm sorry. Also, Neil Kennedy, Vice Chair.
I think you guys have to elect the Budget Committee officer positions for.
I guess so. We have a script for that.
There's not a struggle.
There's nothing for that.
Accept nomination.
All right, so yeah, so we this is the nominations of the members of the public that are wishing to be on the board. Is that we're on the budget committee?
The officer, the budget, what do they call it, the budget chair?
Yes, so the Budget Chair, Vice Chair, and Secretary need to be elected by you guys, I guess.
The secretary can remain Charlotte.
Yeah,
Vice chair could probably be a board member too.
I think the preference is that the chair is someone from the public.
Or. Yeah.
Yeah, or Pam Steve.
So at this point, I'll take a nomination for chair of the budget committee.
I nominate Pamela Weller.
I'll second that motion.
You're sure you don't want it to be Steve?
I'll second that motion.
I think the problem we'll run into is Steve is trying to be elected to the board, so.
Okay,
And Pam, are you willing to stand as chair?
I guess. So are you prepared for my questions tonight? I have some.
Yeah.
Can you move a little bit closer to the microphone? We're having trouble hearing you, Pam.
I said, yeah, I will. And are you prepared for my questions tonight? I have some.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we have a nomination of Pam Weller by James Pizarski and a second by James George. Are there any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
You gotta do a roll call.
Yeah. James Pizarski,
Aye.
James George,
Aye.
Neil Kennedy, aye.
Steve Weller.
Oh, so it's all members, not just, oh,
All members, yeah.
all members. Steve
Aye. Janet.
and Shannon.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Nominations for vice chair.
That should be a board member.
Mhm.
I nominate James George to be vice chair of the Budget Committee.
Thanks, James.
No problem.
I second that. Any other nominations? All right, we have a motion on the floor from James Pizarski to nominate James George.
Need another couple James.
Yeah, exactly. As our vice chair, seconded by Neil Kennedy. All in favor, James Pizarski,
Aye.
Shannon,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
what's that? Yes,
He said aye.
Yeah. I said-
Pam,
Yeah, aye.
And Neil, aye. James George, you're accepting?
Yes.
Tanner, do we have to nominate her? Or she just automatically.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. All right, we need a secretary.
I nominate Charlotte Tanner to be the secretary of the budget committee.
I second that. Any other nominations? Roll call vote. James Wazarski,
Aye.
Shannon,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
James George,
Aye.
Neil Kennedy, aye. So now we have secretary. Okay, now we have a board. Our committee.
So now it's me.
And now we turn the meeting over to our budget officer.
So we're just gonna go through this book fairly quickly. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review it.
Mhm.
It's 84 pages, I think, or I think I reduced it down to 70 something, but 71. I don't intend on going over every page in super detail. It's gonna be more of a, do you have any questions on these pages? A lot of it's just informational. So we'll start just page 11. This is just a list of, board of directors, the budget committee itself, and then the executive staff of the district. Pretty straightforward. The next page, page 13. It's just the mission, vision, values of the district, our personal goals, our motto, followed by the core values on the back of that, our axioms, our expectations, then just, officer expectations. So, those were all put together by chief and kind of stolen from Miss, so. Any questions so far? So page 17, this one's kind of interesting. You'll get to see how we've kind of ebbed and flowed and how we've done our staffing model since 2020. You'll see that we've really swung really hard into 24-hour staffing, reducing our overhead, our chief officer ratio. So, and then the reduction of our office manager position. So
Let's explain why the difference in this budget.
So the current fiscal year of 24-25, which there's another typo. So
There is.
yeah, there's typo right there. So where it says 23-24, I should say 24-25. So halftime chief, we are proposing switching that to 2/3 time. Chief's here an awful lot. And we have the room in the budget. Does not change his hourly rate, just his number of hours. Chief did not take a pay raise in this budget, just an hourly increase. Next page is just personnel breakdown. Just kind of a little bit about each of the changes there, the office manager being removed and the lieutenant of administration, which is Lieutenant Tannery. Chief of EMS, which is Chief Ben Davis, and then Chief Meyer and Chief Brody. The current unfulfilled and unfunded, because they are reflected somewhere in our history in the last few years, the unfulfilled, the not needed positions of office manager and deputy fire chief are just there because we show them in our previous employee list. They're obviously not needed. We made the choice not to. Firefighter EMT is under the needed not funded. That'll stay there probably indefinitely, right? Because we always want more firefighters. So this is one of the typos too, the key accomplishments for fiscal year 25-26. That should be 24-25. So completed the station upgrade, which you guys are all sitting in. $21,000 received private foundation grants. We got seasonal firefighters again. We got a new contract with Coffee County Fire and sold a bunch of apparatus. So we're doing the high school class. District summary goals and objectives. That's just a one-page thing on the operations. Kind of says how we've been trying to improve via grants, whether we've been successful and unsuccessful. I will say in the 8 months, 6 months Chief's been here, we've already gotten more grants than we've gotten in the last few years. So we'll keep going unless there's questions. If you guys have questions, just stop me anytime. We're going to try to cruise until we get to the numbered part. So page 23, call volume. This was pulled for me by Lieutenant Lieberton. These numbers are accurate. So you'll have the last 10 or so years at the very top, and then the actual 2024 breakdown, and then the last 5-year call comparison breakdown as well prior to 2024. So it just kind of gives you where we are. We're slightly down from the year before, from 23, we had a frequent flyer that was using us a lot for dialysis strips. He passed away, so our call volume kind of dipped a little, so. But we're on a steady uphill trend. We've got an increase of over 32% in our call volume in the last decade, so. Fiscal 25-26 goals, hopefully you guys had a chance.
Quick question, and is that compared to industry? Or do we know what that looks like? I mean, are we seeing a trend industry-wide in increase in calls?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite as high as 30% over the last decade, but it's definitely.
But it's keeping in, it's in line with.
It's gonna be 20 or 40% all over, so. Fiscal year goals, hopefully you guys will have a chance to read through this. Again, I'm just gonna try to cruise, because I think there's gonna be a lot of conversation about the numbered part, so if you guys have any questions, let me know. The next picture, the next pages are a couple pictures of our area. We got the state map, the county map, and our district specifically. Our district is unique in that and if you look at the county, everyone else basically incorporated the whole entire area. We, for some reason, it was decided that we were going to stay really close to the roads and not incorporate our whole entire area. That was a decision made at the formation, so 100 years ago.
But the caveat to that is it's simply because there's no taxpayers inside the areas that are not protected.
But it does kind of give us some issues where we have one person that lives in the county but is out of our fire district, and we had to run on there. So that's kind of interesting. So page 31 is the actual budget message. Hopefully you all have read that. It's fairly lengthy. It's the whole page. The next two pages are essentially just descriptions of measure 5 and measure 50, along with some long-range financial planning. This part at the bottom here, the key economic factors, the bottom of page 32 is actually really important. We're seeing our PERS contribution rates go up. And then we actually originally got, and you guys found out about this at the last board meeting, but we originally got hit with a 40%, near 40% increase on our medical insurance. We had switched to a different provider to reduce that, but you'll see that reflected in our budget as well. So page 34, this is where we start getting into some of the numbers. We won't get super specific at this point. That's a little later, but these are some nice graphs to show you. The first one being the anticipated revenue, and the second one being where that money is going. So the requirements portion is always where the money is going to go. So as you can see, we're largely tax revenue based. And then the second largest is our carry forward. So if you're not familiar with how our tax cycle works, is we get tax revenue in November. So we have to make a budget where we survive off of previous year taxes from July 1 until November. So that's why we always have a large cash carry forward. So as for money going out, personnel services at 56% of our budget. That's actually incredibly low compared to most agencies. Most agencies are in that 80 to 90% range of their budget going to personnel. This is largely because our budget's just so small, but that's actually really good. So, yeah, we'll keep chugging along. The page 37 is just our recommendation, just kind of formally saying that this is what we prepared this budget with the goal of long-term sustainable service for our citizens and meeting the expectations of the fire district goals and objectives. This budget meets our operational needs so that the fire district may continue to effectively provide emergency fire, rescue, and medical response and life safety services to the public while remaining open and flexible to opportunities for change. I recommend this budget for your approval. Myself, chief, and then the lieutenant of admin, Charlotte. So the other typo is this right here. The resolution number should be 2025-1. Thank you, Steve, for that, by the way. So this is if the budget is approved by the committee tonight, this will be the resolution that goes forward to the board in June's meeting. So once the budget's approved by the budget committee, we have to post it. We have to write this big long thing and put it in the paper, and they have to have like 15 days. The general public has to have 15 days or so
To review.
and to comment and request, give them their due process. So hopefully the goal is still to get this approved tonight, as long as everyone's okay with it. And then this will be brought to the board with the correct resolution number in in June's board meeting. So the left page 38, that is the actual where the money is going. It's kind of the general breakdown of the general fund and reserve fund. And then the total of adopted budget. And then the right-hand side, page 39, is actually imposing the tax itself. So you'll see a permanent tax rate of 95.35 cents per thousand, and the levy, local option levy of $1.24, for a grand total of $2.19. Yeah, we'll present this to the board in June, and then we have to send it off to the county and the state.
Secretary of State's on Stevens file there.
So,
Brandon, I
hey, yes,
have a question. Is those
Yeah.
tax rate, those are all current rates, correct?
yeah, yeah. And it doesn't include the bonded rate. The bonded rate's set outside of this.
Right.
That was approved in 2017 or whenever.
2015.
Wow, okay. Page 41, 42, and 43 is just kind of the budget process as a whole. Includes the budget calendar on page 42. That's kind of a loose calendar. These are the dates that we shoot for. It's kind of our target. And then page 43 is just the budget committee notice that would be posted in the newspapers and stuff, so. But that's just the general timeline we're shooting for. So as you can see, we want to approve this budget by May 16th. So if we don't approve it tonight, we will set another meeting. Short, quickly, so that we can hopefully get it resolved. That we have a chance to put as many meetings as we need to before the 16th. Okay. And then the budget process timeline, again, is just a breakdown, just kind of explains exactly what we're doing here. So. Then this is all just like legal notices. Page 46 and 47 again talks about ORSs and all sorts of the official stuff. So as we continue on, we'll go to 49, which is now we're going to get into some breakdown stuff. This one's actually a really short section for this first one. It's only one page. It just basically says the general fund is what we operate out of. The reserve fund is just money that's there as a reserve fund. So, but we have to explain what those funds are. So this is where it's going to get fun. This is where all the questions are going to be. It's where we're going to talk numbers. So this section, page 55, just kind of lists out, this is the detailed portion with line items. For those of you that have been doing our budget process for a while, for years, you're going to see this looks totally different. And I hope you like it. It's way more clear and concise. The last one I do it for those who you're sitting here. If you want one of the old copy style, I did do it in that format as well. It was just a lot of information and it was just shoved in your face and it wasn't really broken down well. So the important part is, so when we turn the page, what you have on the right-hand side on like the odd number pages, there should be a line on the even number page to the left that correlates pretty close to lining up exactly with it. It's not going to be perfect against my best efforts, but it'll be close. So it's going to show the actual for 22, 23, 23, 24, the current budgeted number, because obviously we're still in this fiscal year, and then the proposed budget, and it'll show you the differences as well. So this is just kind of an overhead view. The big thing worth noting here is the debt services is going to be completely gone. District's going to be out of debt. And then transfers, that's transfers to the reserve fund. It's not as high as we'd like it to be. But at least we're still moving money into it and not pulling money out of it. So you'll notice another big one too is the capital outlay. Took a huge loss, right? But that's because the seismic grant's done. So you're going to see like a 99% drop in the capital outlay, but it's because that grant's completed. So let's go to the next. Let's go to the breakdown of the actual general fund and the personnel services. So I'm going to go line by line here because this is the important stuff. That's why we rush through everything else. So the first line, 1A1, fire chief, current budget is 40,000. That's because chief started a little later. We reduced his line item number for the supplemental for this year, but his actual cost is right at like 48,000. We proposed increasing that to cover him going to 2/3 time. Because he's here already that much, you might as well he's here way more than that, but just because of the work that is we're finding ourselves having to take on and being able to afford his extra time, that's what we're proposing. Full-time line staff, you're gonna see that number go up as well. That's because we hired the lieutenant of administration that goes under that line item. Volunteer incentive was dropped slightly because we still haven't used the last one. We didn't touch any of it. We're still trying to figure out exactly how to do either shift stipends, because apparently there's a way to do them. The banks does them, so we're in conversation to try to figure out how we can utilize that to give our volunteers some sort of stipend. If not, looking at LoSAP, which is length of service award. But we haven't done anything in that line item for a long time, so we reduced it slightly. Part-time staff in 50,000, so that's kind of money that got shifted from there into the full-time line staff to help hire that extra person, help hire Lieutenant Tannery. That 50,000 also includes the $35,000 OSFM grant that we got awarded. So only 15,000 of that's our money per se. So, and yeah, so
We just got awarded that grant last week.
Yeah.
so.
we got the official, we're pretty sure we were gonna get it, but we got the official nod a week ago.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes, sir.
What was the amount of that grant? I think you said 35, but I wasn't sure.
Yep. Yeah, 30. Well, yeah, the grant's 35,000. Technically, we had like $240 of holdover money or
Right,
something.
the actual payroll's about 31 something, and then we have 10% administrative costs on top of that too.
Staff insurance, so this one's gonna kind of look wonky. So if you go back, you're gonna see it's always been right around 70,000, and then this year it dipped down to 40. There's two big reasons it dipped to 40. One is we didn't have chiefs that got their insurance, which insurance is expensive. And two, the board members remember we overpaid last year because they kept if you guys remember Steven Jackson, they kept him on insurance for like 7 months, right? We had that credit that they gave us. So that's why that number looks kind of like, why did it dip and then come back up? And then we got the notification that our benefits were gonna go up by 39 point something percent. We're switching to one that's only gonna make it go up like 20.16%. Not great, but way better than 40. So, and as the paid staff, Lieutenant Tannery, Lieutenant Abney, and myself, we all chose a plan that would reduce the cost and the financial burden on the district. So just trying to do our part.
And then Lieutenant Leverage and myself just take a stipend.
Because they get insurance elsewhere, and then their stipends will go up slightly. So how it typically works for their stipend is they get half of what it costs to insure me, because I'm a single dude with no kids. So they'll go from $400 a month to $500 a month just to make it at least somewhat equitable. So PERS is, again, it dipped down because we didn't have the chief, and then it's gonna go back up because we added Charlotte. And then,
Per cost for me.
PERS costs,
Frank.
yeah.
He says.
So because chiefs, retired PERS member, we still have to pay the employer, but not the employee contribution, which is, it's better than nothing, because the employer contribution is like 12%.
Right.
And the employee contribution is like 6. Yeah. So, FICA, which is Social Security, Medicaid, that's gonna stay pretty similar. It's gonna stay right at 30,000. Unemployment, I truly have no idea how they calculate this number. So I just put it at 5,000 because it's never gonna get close to that. It's just a buffer. Even when we had the former Chief Davis, and I think even Chief Smith was still on, it was only 3,000. But out of an abundance of caution, I want it to be too much. And we'll have an extra $1,000 or $1,500 there to pad, which is not a whole lot of money anyways.
Question,
Yes, sir.
did you mean Medicare, not Medicaid?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Medicare and Social Security. Thank
Means
you.
it's minutes meeting, you bet.
And then unemployment's another one. How I've been explained to that is like 2% of, or 1.9% of all salaries. Number still doesn't make sense to me.
You're talking workman's comp.
Yeah, workman's comp. So I just put it at $500 because then that's such a small number and we're not.
And it's well in excess of historical numbers.
Yeah, and it's,
So on the unemployment, usually that's set, could be by the state. It depends on if you use it. If you use it, it goes up. So like when every single year
Yep.
I get a letter that says for Weller and Sons Trucking, this is what your rate is, and it depends on how much. So,
Oh,
yeah, you-
Fortunately.
If you're a higher risk, then obviously your rate goes up.
Yeah.
right.
Which firemen are probably on the higher risk.
But if they're not making claims, is how they're gonna determine risk.
In the 8 months I've been, here, we've not made a claim.
which is good.
Yes.
We're not laying people off, which is nice. I appreciate that. Overtime budget, we're still just kind of refining. We had to raise it up to 40,000 this year. That was partially due to some of those financial errors. We rested it down to 30,000. We sat down and we broke it all down. We budgeted for, right now, the paid staff, the 3 24-hour shifts that can impact and cause overtime. Each one of us will, starting July 1st, well, starting actually January. We finally settled on some leave time, like an actual standard, so we actually understand what we're getting. And it breaks down to all of us get 10 shifts off a year. We're allowed to carry forward 3 of those shifts. So what we did is, we budgeted for 24 overtime shifts for the paid staff. Because we assume that Charlotte would probably still be able to cover more than the last 6. But that gives us a big coverage. But then we also budgeted in the part-time line item, 24 shifts for part-timers. So in the budget between part-time and the overtime, we have coverage built in for 48 shifts, not even counting what Charlotte will be able to actually flex and cover. We just wanted, now that we don't have the cushion of the seismic grant, not, giving us a lot of ability to move our budget around if we need to, we wanted to be just absolutely safe. So there should be a fair amount of padding in personnel services to carry forward to the following fiscal. So. And then deputy chief and secretary clerk, both those positions are no longer filled, but they have to stay in here for 3 years. And that'll be reflected on the left-hand side, as it'll say it's been discontinued and remove it after 3 years. So. Any questions on personnel services? So as you can see, trending wise, we've kind of stayed around the same ballpark the whole time. Yeah, just kind of a small trend upward a little bit, but. So capital outlay is going to be this kind of the spooky one. If you look at the bottom numbers, again, last year's is so big because of the seismic grant. If you look outside of the seismic grant, we really have not notoriously had a lot of money in capital outlay. It's just, we don't have a lot of extra money to spend. Fortunately, we sold quite a few rigs last year, so we had a little extra money. And with the construction project going on, the board approved things like the bathroom remodels that the grant wasn't going to cover, and some cabinetries and stuff like that. So we were able to make some really nice improvements in the moment, but that's just kind of a one-off. Those are long-term investments in the district. So PPE 8,000, bunker gear per set, what, 35 to 4,000? $4,300 a set. So that gives us enough to basically buy a set and then just buy random stuff like extra gloves, things like that.
We have put in for a PPE grant to outfit every single one of our firefighters with brand new PPE through the federal government. We'll just leave that right there. It's called an AFG grant. We did it jointly with MIST, which apparently in submitting kind of a regional grant, it increases our possibility of getting that. But if we are awarded that grant, then we'll get new turnouts for everybody.
Good.
And then we can spend that PPE on, we'll pass the board and spend it on something else that might be helpful to us.
And then communications.
Just a real quick question. So if you get all PPE replaced, right? You get all the turnouts replaced, then the existing ones, do they still have life? What do you do with those?
A lot of them,
Are
honestly,
beyond.
they return to high school
Okay.
cadet
Yeah.
year and stuff.
We can use them for non-firefighting, things
Understood.
like that. But the ones that, NFPA, our guidelines say 10 years, that's what they say. And so we would use the new ones for doing interior firefighting.
Right.
And the outside ones won't be entering an IDLH and they can easily be used for outside stuff.
Okay.
And we'll have a whole bunch that are just torn, ripped, tattered.
That can go away.
They're gonna go.
Yep.
Yeah. We will actually donate those to another very small microscopic environment somewhere else.
And they're great gear to send like cadets to the academy in. And then
Sure.
once they go to live fire, we give them a different set, but that way they can tear up, crawling through all the stuff, tear up all the old gear. So communications, we put $1,000 in there. Just recently, I believe it was Lazarski's buddy came in and programmed a bunch of radios for us.
Nice.
We're sitting here.
For free, like
Nice.
super generous donation. So we're sitting really good. The 12,500 from last year was to move the antenna off the building and put it on the pole. That's why that was there, through Dave Wireless. Fire rescue equipment, we put 5,000 there. The hope, what we budgeted for in that line item is, we're gonna buy a new fan. So it's an electric, positive pressure fan. They're $4,200. But it'll be, right now, where our gas power fan is so big and cumbersome that not a lot of people can even carry it solo. And in a department where we often do things by ourselves, 1, 2, 3 people, have 2 people pull a fan. These ones are,
The other advantage to them is that when we use our positive pressure fans currently, we're using to ventilate homes inside, but we're introducing carbon monoxide into the house while we're doing it. So these electric ones obviously don't produce carbon monoxide.
and you just turn a dial, and these new ones are nice. It's like a 17-inch one, has the same pressure as a 20-incher, and
Nice.
it'll run for like a couple of hours. It's gonna be really nice. And they gave us a really good deal. When I contacted them, they gave me their MSRP and said that they were gonna have their rep reach out to us, which just happens to be Jana for C Western, who already does stuff with us, and she beat their price by several $100s for us. Super wonderful people. So, medical equipment, we don't spend a lot of money in that line item notoriously, so we just left it at 500. We're very fortunate. Metro West provides everything. And now that we don't have our own ambulance that we're sinking money into, and they're letting us run theirs a second out, so. Station equipment, that's just $1,500 if we need to buy. I mean, these chairs are dying faster than I thought they would, but if we need to buy small stuff like that, right? Things that are gonna last more than 3 years, that's what that comes under. Apparatus, you'll see is 10,000 again. Not sure if Chief Brody has mentioned it to you guys, but
Some looks more big, but
the Hillsborough rig got pushed back to next February.
Yeah.
They decided to hang on to it for their academy, and they have a bunch of rigs down, and they got to wait till the replacement for engine 6 gets there and stuff. So the current 10,000 is not going to be spent. It's just going to be rolled over. So for a total of 26,000. So the next one, materials and services, you're going to see a lot of changes in this one. We tried to refine the categories a little better. As Charlotte and I were going through QuickBooks and historically where we were putting things that we were paying for, there were some things that were going in line items that didn't make a lot of sense to us. So we wanted to get a better understanding of what we were spending in these line items, and we try to readjust them to go in a more appropriate one.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
Man, being a former fire chief and the way this is laid out now, this is extremely better.
Yeah.
Hugely better. I mean, it makes so much more sense, and you're right. So it's a good format.
Well, and I appreciate the effort of cleaning it up, right? So figuring out where did we spend the money, and let's put it in an appropriate line item. And so we're not playing this game of just
Where did it
shuffling
go?
funds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Lieutenant Car Supervisor, I'm gonna tell you that this was one thing that did bug me. We had a lot of conversations about it. And this year, this man has put a ton of work in this document.
It shows.
The great part being is that going forward, it's just gonna be changing little numbers up. and down,
Absolutely.
so it's gonna be a lot easier going forward. You're gonna see a lot of the same wording that you see here.
Yep.
On the next year's budget, so nothing changes.
yeah, Charlotte and I are not going to want to sit in front of a computer for like 6 months after we're done with this.
But you know what? You
Right.
put the work in,
Yeah,
it's
and
done, and now subsequent years, you shouldn't have to sweat it.
Yeah, it's just changing numbers, moving them over a
Yeah.
column. So they are also alphabetical. That was always just a weird OCD pet peeve of mine from the last one. The only time they won't be alphabetical is if they've been moved to the bottom to be removed after 3 years. So audit fee, the same gal that did ours last year is going to do it again this year. She quoted us 8,500. I put it 9,000. I always will build in buffers just in case. The goal is never to spend 100% of every single line item, so we just put a little buffer. Automotive, 50,000. That's what we put it at for this year. We're fairly confident in that. We have this all broken down on this other thing. So there's another Excel spreadsheet that is just internal for us. You guys are more than welcome to look at it if you want at a different time, but we have everything broken up into each one of these. So if you guys want really specific numbers that we're looking at, I'll try to give you the best I can, but so under automotive, we went to 50,000. So, 11,000 in fuel. We put $5,000 in for tires because just in case. $10,000 in unexpected maintenance, which we have an unexpected maintenance about to happen on the brush anyway. So,
Just a comment, and I'm not in following years, would it be possible to, on the current column, Also add one column next to it for an actual, so we know in the last year, this was the budget, this was the spend.
We can't, that's not been I guess the better option would be is to bring budget versus actuals with us, maybe. That'd
That
be the
could be
safer.
two,
Because
or
when we
add it as a
printed this-
page.
Yeah, because when we printed this, it's already inaccurate, right?
Right.
It was-
Totally, I get that, yeah.
I think that would be a great idea is to do budget versus actuals.
And really only, I'm only interested in seeing it for the immediate last year,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have the other actual numbers.
Right.
The current projected is 70,000. We're gonna be, that was including setting up the new engine, which we just found out it's not
Perfect.
happening, right?
Yeah.
So that's way ahead.
Yep.
That's also why next year was only 50. So carrying forward a little bit more money, because we're not spending it this year, we'll make that one.
And
Absolutely.
you said you're using QuickBooks as your accounting program?
That's what we use, yes, and then this is all done in Excel.
Okay, because you can take that information in QuickBooks and run those current
Yeah.
budget and all that kind of stuff against the other one. So it should already be in there if you go
Yeah.
in there and set it up.
We do it all. We print budget versus actuals almost
So
every week.
I would
it would
imagine.
be super easy.
Yeah, we could just do that for next time.
I guess it would just have to be, it was actual as of with a date of print.
Yeah, and we can literally, we could do it right before. the
We
meeting.
printed this document 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. A month, yeah.
You'd have to get the books done and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Which was wonderful. Each one of these books only costs like $11 or $12.
Totally worth it.
Yeah.
Good job.
I agree with Neil 100% on that too, so actually, both of us are in agreement to that.
And then other parts of that automotive is just annual preventive maintenance and then money for the new engine setup. Elections, put it to $1,500. The previous one was $1,050. That's for like putting our levies up. And we most likely intend to put one up in the May election, so we budgeted for it.
Yeah.
So equipment test and services. So this is one of the ones that you're gonna see has been increased quite a bit because there was just some things that were going into other places that didn't make sense. So, equipment test and services, what we have planned for is hose and ladder testing, fire extinguisher testing, our hydraulic tools testing, station generator, and then the air cascade. And then we just built in a little bit of extra as well, just to be safe. There's always padding. None of these numbers are gonna be exactly, what we budget for. There'll always be padding. So,
Before we move on, Brendan, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
On elections.
Yeah.
Is that number enough?
yeah,
Well, I don't want to go in, I don't want to lose another levy.
so the
It's just the filing fees
Yeah.
and things
Right.
like that.
the district itself is not allowed to spend money
On advocating, okay.
It's gotta be
All right.
like the association.
good enough.
Yeah, so, which is something I learned in the last year, so I didn't know that. So the district itself cannot have an official stance.
That's true. Okay.
Present information, but we can't say, you need to vote for this. We can't say.
So it has to
Understood.
be like the career association, if we ever finally make one, we've been busy.
Right.
And then the volunteer association.
Okay.
So medical requirements, this is just medical physicals, not something that this department's been notoriously good about doing. We really should be having medical physicals every year. So that gives us money for 10 or 15 of them, so we can start rotating people through. So. Insurance, this is like the
Liability.
liability insurance for the vehicles in the stations. Last year, when we got our little notice, it said to plan for about 55,000. We're only at like 49. So I just left it at 55. So I said, even if it's a 10% increase, that puts us right at 55. So, and the big increase didn't happen last year. Miscellaneous, this is just kind of literally a miscellaneous number. Like, so example would be, we're doing a skid presentation, May 13th. That would be the line item for like chief could buy food for everybody that day after that event, a big public event. Or if we have a structure fire, he can go and spend that money to buy people food and water and stuff. So not a lot of money there. Non-capital equipment. For this one, what we've slated so far is we want to get 2 more gas monitors, which will total about $2,500. So there's just $1,500 extra in there for whatever comes up that we need, tools and etc. So organizational dues, this is another one that got bumped up pretty big this year, and then we've reduced it down a little bit as we refine where things are coming out of.
Wait, did we skip office?
Oh, we did, sorry. So office. Didn't do it alphabetically now. So office covers the printer. And then did we do QuickBooks? Yeah, so we did the printer and then I think QuickBooks is gonna come out of there as well. That's what it looks like. Yeah, the QuickBooks annual fee for the actual program,
Where's our, like, our phone charges coming out of?
utilities. Um, So again, that one has at least $1,000 of fluff built into it. I just put $600 worth of supplies in it too, just padding.
Yep.
If we don't spend it, glorious. So organizational dues, this one was a big one that we really need to refine. There was organizational dues, equipment testing services, professional services, and training were the ones that we really had to go through and refine and figure out where things were going to. Organizational dues are things like our image trend, which is our reporting system. Intera, which is like our web-based call tracking. We have a length of service award program annual fee that we pay, even though we're not using it. We have a hazmat fee if we have, which is interesting. I didn't realize we just got notified that because we have like hazmat materials, we have to pay a hazmat fee, which is $300. SDAO and then
The auction takes.
okay.
Yeah.
OFSOA and OFCOA.
Oregon Fire Chiefs Association and Oregon Fire Administrators
Yeah.
Association.
Not a lot of money there. It's only $160 between the two. Then we have the Lexipol policy side of Lexipol. And an active 911. And then we have $2,000 extra built into that one because I just didn't know what else we were gonna put. So again, everything's got fluff in it. Professional services, this is where like our physician advisor comes out of. Legal services, hopefully this number will be significantly lower. The legal services have really hammered us for a couple of years. That's what you're gonna see for 22, 23, and 23, 24. We've had a lot of legal time. So another part of that's the payroll services for a new payroll person. Then the QuickBooks payroll fee, which is interesting. It's like I think it's a $30 fee every time they do payroll.
Yeah.
So
I
And
don't know
then-
about that.
yeah, literally every time they pay us, there's an extra $30 QuickBooks fee. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me that part.
Yeah.
All right.
QuickBooks get you.
Yeah. And then we have our
Stuff like it
new
gets you.
our new email service that we have is about $2,000 a year. They do everything for us. It's wonderful. Saved us quite a bit of money. So, and then Wix is one thing we budget for, but it's an every 3-year fee, so we don't have any money for them in there right now, but so that sums up professional services. Then publications, that's essentially just Vernonia Voice. Which we're doing quarterly with them right now, and then we'll have to do an extra one for like the board or for the budget stuff, so. Public education, we've been slowly increasing that. We're gonna bump it up to 1,500. Now that we got Charlotte here full-time and she loves doing this kind of stuff. We budgeted like $500 for National Night Out. Last year, National Night Out was a huge success that Charlotte planned.
Is that like for swaggy things to give away or?
Yeah, and then we
Yeah.
rent the dunk tank
Sure.
and
Yeah.
things like that. So
And food and stuff.
Yep.
So, then we have another $500 for just generic prevention supplies, like hats and stickers. As we try to get rid of some of the old stuff that doesn't make any sense, like our keychains and stuff. Kids don't want keychains.
we want stickers.
They want stickers and they
They
want stickers, so. And then we have $500 for smoke detectors built into that too, which is a lot. I don't see us spending, but we just wanted to have some padding, so. Radio and pager repair, again, we're sitting real good. We could have a dozen radios go down and not be in a bad spot. So we didn't really
Yep.
think, and then, we're kind of squeezing a little here as we ramp up to go for a new levy increase the following year, so. So we're cutting where we could. So seminars and conferences, we boosted this up a little bit because this was another one that was kind of convoluted. Where that was going, who was using seminars, who was using training. We wanted to be more definitive, so we bumped the seminars up to 2,000. So that would be like for everyone that went to the
SDAO.
SDAO, where that would come out.
I'll be going next week to the Oregon Fire Chiefs Association Conference.
Station maintenance, this is just kind of a generalized number. We didn't really spend a whole lot this last year. And with a brand new station, we don't anticipate spending a whole lot of money.
Well, maybe.
Right. So,
Well, we,
40-year-old valve.
yeah, we got a 40-year-old valve that we thought had fixed for $700 and it's still leaking. So the new valve replacement's upwards of over 2K. So
which is good, it's coming out of this budget cycle, because we're in a way better spot this budget cycle, so. Yeah, so really, like, the only thing that we have regularly scheduled to come out of station maintenance is our pest control person, that's it. Supplies, we just have for cleaning supplies, toiletries, laundry, station cleaning, vehicle cleaning, lawn care. We just put 4,500 in there. With 2,400 of that just basically being padding, just in case we might need stuff. Brandon's taken over that now as the supplies person, so she's only had it for a few months, so gave her plenty of money that way. This year she can track, this next year she can track it better and give us a better number, but I'm not gonna ask her for super definitive numbers when she's been doing this for less than a few months.
Right.
So, and it's just padding. We don't spend it great. It just goes forward, so. Training and dues, this is another one that kind of got readjusted. It got brought down a little bit because we were spending some money on some interesting things in training before. Things that we're not going to be spending, like there's I guess the best way to put it is Chief Snodgrass's business was getting paid by the district for their training and stuff. So that's what we had noticed in one of the years prior. So yeah, so some of the training they were hosting here was being paid for apparently, not just as their volunteer service to us, I guess. I don't know. That's just kind of how I interpret it. I could be totally wrong, but that's just how it looked on paper. The other stuff coming out of training would be the Lexipol training side, which is only $750. EMS research, so the district is going to pay for EMS recertification. Put $1,000 in that. That's way a lot. It's only $55 an EMT.
Oh, wow.
and we're not recerting next, the EMRs recert next year, but not the EMTs.
Right. So this is,
good.
yeah,
We're good.
so
Nice.
just EMRs. We don't have that many, so. And then just, we have $500 for books and $1,000 for classes, and another $1,750 in fluff. We just want to have enough. to make sure.
It's my intention as fire chief to provide as much external education to our firefighters. We just can't do a lot
I am-
internally.
You're not gonna get an argument from me on training.
If I could find a class.
If you can find a class to send them to, send them.
Right.
I'm encouraging these two to actually sign up and go to the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, outside Washington DC. And it's essentially free. We have to pay for the food.
Yep.
That's it.
It's still, last I heard, it's still closed right now because of the budget
Stuff,
cuts.
right.
National, but. So, utilities. Utilities I left at, 25,000. Getting a rough estimate on what we actually spent before, I was able to put all of our budgets in and still build in $5,000 of fluff at 25 grand. This building should be more energy efficient. It should be way better in a lot of ways. But this includes our West Oregon Electric, our Northwest Natural, our Ziply, our phone service, water, and then our cable.
We just got a $2,000 rebate check from Northwest Natural because we have equal pay every month.
Mhm.
And apparently they just recalculated us and said we're not using a bunch of gas as we have been. So it's all right, right?
Yes.
So we got a $1,000 check back from them.
Did I skip uniforms?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm killing myself. Uniforms, we've been building up really good on uniforms for so long that we're in a good spot. So now we backed off to 5,000 because it's not like we're outfitting 20 people anymore. We're just kind of maintaining. So, and we've kind of,
Replacing.
yeah, we're replacing stuff. Then we've reevaluated and like new volunteers are not going to get like as nice of class Bs. They'll get kind of a cheaper style. And then once they've been here for like a year or so, then they'll get the nicer stuff. So, because I mean, since Charlotte started 3 years ago, I think there's only been 2 that have stuck around, right? Out of like 7 or 8 that we've sent.
No, I think it's appropriate.
So, and then mileage, recruitment, retention, and the resident volunteer program are all discontinued. So.
Wait. Why are we discontinuing mileage? Are you gonna build that in someplace else?
Yeah.
Is that going to training?
Yeah, training.
Part of your training and travel
the-
budget.
travel.
Okay.
And that and the hope is that if someone's going somewhere, take a district vehicle.
I agree.
That's the intent behind it.
Recruitment and retention, we just feel like we can do that in-house. We don't need to put any big money towards it. We're a small community. We have the ability to get out in the community and do stuff. And, we have brand new volunteers coming here that just, I don't even know what the reason was you walked in here, but Adam is one of our newest volunteers, and we're seeing a really, really good increase in enthusiastic volunteers that are doing a good job for us.
So that is it for general fund. As you see, we're kind of staying around the same general number, right around just over 200,000. So any questions? Okay. The next one are just some of the outliers. So the contingency. So for us, it's interesting with it when it comes to budgetary stuff is there's a difference between contingency and unappropriated funds. So contingency, we can touch with the board resolution. Unappropriated, we can never touch. So I like to leave quite a bit in the unappropriated, because if we were to rate all that money, we wouldn't be able to afford to run the department, right? So between unappropriated and contingency, that gives us near enough. It's enough to survive from July 1st to November, but we won't have anything extra. That's why everything else has so much fluff built into it, so much padding. So contingency stays at 100,000 with no intent to touch it. The transfer is $5,000 going to the reserve fund. The goal is to get that number up more. If we're fortunate enough to get a levy increase, that number will go up, so we can get our contingency in a better spot. And then payments, debt services, you'll notice that we are going to be completely debt free. We are still just waiting for the final invoice from Stryker.
Love it.
Because we sent them that one payment for 16 something. We need the final one, so we can do the final one. So. The page 64, 65, this is just the resources. This is the money we have. This is the projection. So sat down with Charlotte the other day to look at where our bank accounts all sit. I'm still very confident in the $400,000 carry forward amount. We got the $35,000 grant. I'm not going to budget for donations or anything like that. If they happen, they happen. That's wonderful. Interest would be interest on the state treasury, the state counts that we have. So that's why typically what happens is we leave almost all of our money in there and we just pull $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 out at a time, because in the state pool, it gets the best interest return. And as you can see, we do fairly well on interest. Previous taxes, I just kind of left it for last year. This is only my second year doing the budget, so I've really got to be around to see the trend, and I just kind of followed suit.
That's taxes owed to us from delinquent
From the
taxpayers.
prior tax year. Building rent,
How is that collected?
The county
The
collects.
county does it,
Yeah.
and when they send us, they actually give us a breakdown of
where it came from. Yeah.
which is nice, because I can imagine trying to figure out outside that. Building rent is the Metro West rent that they pay us for occupying. Other income, again, that's just other unclassified income, so that would be more the donation stuff. There was some interesting things done in the past that it was kind of hard to track down where the money came from and how it's classified. So you can see other income pretty high in some of those, because just trying to figure out where that came from, we still don't really know.
Okay.
It just wasn't definitively. Yeah,
So this is where my questions kind of come in, and there's
Okay.
pretty much. So at the beginning fund balance, as you look over the history, you typically always have a carryover.
yeah.
So, but I'm not that, I don't know. I don't know the public budgeting that well. So, I mean, this is what you have. Bottom line is this is what you're going to need for your budget. So are you going to have a carryover next year? I mean, we are assuming that there'll be another carryover, or are we just spending everything we have?
So if you go to the page before, the contingency plus the unappropriated would be the absolute minimum of the carry forward for next year.
Okay.
That would be the absolute minimum. I'm sorry, I gotta talk back to the mic here. It'd be the absolute minimum. And then whatever padding's added in, where we've padded everywhere, it just brings that number up higher. So the goal is to shoot for right around 300,000. And right now, between just the contingency and the unappropriated, it's 264. So all we gotta do is save 35 throughout the rest of everything, which should be easy to do. So, and that'll get, because the reason it's so high right now is because, and why it's been high the last couple of years is because the money that we got from my position. So when they gave us the $300,400 for my position, they gave it all at once. So we had to titrate that out essentially. So,
Okay.
but the goal now with how much staff we have, we shoot for about 300,000.
That sounds great. So my next question is, so it says total general fund resources at 1.1.
Yeah,
That makes sense, but if I go back to where the budget as to what you're gonna spend, total adopted budget is 1.2.
so this is where it gets wonky, right? Because I had to ask these same questions. Because you have to include, it's weird, the general fund resources, and then you have to include all the extra like, the bond and stuff like that. So it's weird that when you do you're talking about the resolution probably.
Yep,
Yes.
Yeah, because the resolution numbers are not, you have to include all of the funds in the resolution, not just the general fund. So it's super like, it's really weird. It doesn't really make sense to me either. Yeah.
And then one of my last questions, so let's just say you get other grants throughout the year.
Yeah.
If you get other grants, are those used for something that's not in the budget? Or is that just gonna help the budget because you're gonna get funds from somewhere else to pay for?
I would say this, Pam, is that if we get a grant, when I make a request for a grant, no matter if it's a government agency or a private foundation or something like that, I specifically have to say what those grants are for. And I ask for specific things. So if I'm looking for a new automobile extrication tool, then it will go into that line item and such. If I ask for, I don't know what else. I mean, just it'll go, everything's gonna fall into a bucket where it fits into the budget. So there will be no just slush fund, if that's what you're kind of asking about. Yeah.
So grants also, like, usually we get a grant, either the grant themselves will pay it, like, so we got the bunker gear grant from the Gary Sinise Foundation. They pay for it themselves to keep our budget process out of it, which is wonderful. I love it when they do that, but if not, the board will have to accept the grant and then make a resolution allocating the grant dollars.
Okay,
Okay?
I think that's most of my questions.
Great.
So.
Money
so
in, money out.
One more clarification though. So if we get a grant that covers, say, something that we specifically budgeted for,
Okay.
right? So then that line will wind up with an overage at the end of the year.
Mhm.
Theoretically, right? We hope, right? That nothing else touches it. We didn't need to spend it for something else.
Right.
And so then that just goes into our carry forward.
Yep.
It'll come out of you won't continue carrying it forward in the line items at that point. You'll reschedule
Yeah.
and.
Every so often, sorry, every so often, fire departments are faced with this. We read about this every so often where Mrs. Elma Jones passes away and she had $18 million in the bank and nobody knew it. And she has gifted $2.5 million to the local fire department because they're wonderful. If that were that, I mean, that's always a possibility. It happens in small communities across the country. If that were to arrive on our doorstep, we as a board are going to have to really think about what we do with that.
Right.
And that will be a huge,
Supplemental budget.
yeah, a
Right.
huge 2-hour-long conversation on what we plan on doing with that. But that would not, since there's nothing it's tied to, we'd be
Right.
like, okay, we gotta think about what we're doing. Supplemental budget, we'd have to all meet again here, all this stuff's come in again and say, this is what we should do with it.
Right.
Hopefully that answers your question, Pam.
Yep,
If you
yep.
get that $2.5 million gift,
Right.
I want to know.
I'm gonna hire you, Steve. You're coming back and I'm gonna go home.
I think we need to raise the board members' pay.
We're all going on a big vacation, right? And then, anticipate taxes. So we actually anticipate, like, the county anticipates us getting like 713,000. We hold back 6% because very rarely does every single person pay their
Right.
taxes. So, and again, I follow the same philosophy as I followed last year. I would rather budget like we're poor and end up with more money. Like this year, we end up with 75,000 more than we thought.
Right.
Great. That's awesome. It just makes the next year that much easier. So, next page, reserve fund. And then, this is just kind of the breakdown of where the account sits, which is the top part, and then where we've spent out of it, which is the bottom part. We haven't touched the reserve fund since 22, 23, which I believe was probably for the ambulance and for the kitchen. I think that's what those two were for. So that's the last time we touched the reserve fund. I just pulled those numbers straight out of QuickBooks. So you'll notice that in the income portion, you'll see the $5,000 transferred in this year and then $5,000 transferred in next year.
A question on reserve though.
Yep.
So do we have specific things that we are depreciating and that we're assigning a reserve number to that we should be hitting? To say like an engine depreciates over time, right?
Mhm.
We know at the end of life, it's going to cost us X
That's
as
the-
best we can estimate, right? So we should be putting away, you know, whatever, $5,000 every year or $10,000 every year for that asset, but the building depreciates. So everything's depreciating. There should be a reserve line for every one of those things.
And I would like.
And I know we're not there right now.
Yeah, we're nowhere in the
No, I
ballpark.
mean, it's definitely on our radar, but it's like target number 34 right
I
now,
know.
okay, so.
That's my goal probably for hopefully next year is actually get it kind of defined and laid out, but like, I mean, there's so much money we'd have to put it.
Even, and I would say this, even if we get them defined and we know what their reserve add should be every year, and then it's unfunded that we're not doing it, I would like to see it on here because that makes the case when we go to the public and ask for money. It's real easy to show all of these things are dying every year, right? And there is no plan to replace this. So in 20 years, you'll have no equipment left.
Well, we're actually hitting that point. Our SCBA's are timing out in the next, they're starting to time out next year and they're gonna be timed out over the next 3 years if we don't get something.
I have that as a question on here.
Right, right.
What's the plan?
Yeah, and that we've had internal conversations about, one of the reasons for that levy lift potentially is we may be faced with having to potentially
Buy.
finance.
Yeah.
Then we can't buy them outright, it'll be $400,000.
Right.
About 260.
With the compressor, if we decide to do the compressor thing, the compressors are 120.
Yeah.
It's insane. So obviously we're in the wrong business, but yeah, right now there's.
I'm with you too on that, Neil. Having those items in on the budget line item so that you can show that you have no way of funding them.
That's
so to
that's right.
speak.
We're aware of it sitting
That
out there.
helps.
Absolutely.
Our first
I
out
agree
engine's
with you 100%.
24 years old.
Right.
Like we're getting a new to us engine that's gonna be
09, yeah.
16, 17 years old, right?
Right.
They're timed out after 20 years typically. It's like, so.
Well, yeah, and I would assume that affects the rating for the community.
ISO rating.
Yeah.
If we,
Probably, it's not a huge thing, but it's probably something, yeah.
so, and that's the glossary. We've made it through it.
So I just want to pipe in here as relatively the new guy in this process. Number one is I've already gave kudos to Lieutenant Carr. I'm gonna give him some more. I will fully admit that even I am not as knowledgeable in the budget process as Lieutenant Carr is, and it's my intention between now and next time we sit down this meeting a year from now, that we are going, all three of us in uniform at this table are going to attend some more classes to learn more about this process. We've received an immense amount of help from Ms. Birkenfeld and some other agencies kind of helping out a little bit, giving me our ideas and such. We've looked at other budgets and such to see how they do things. I have spent countless hours with Lieutenant Carr and Lieutenant Tannery going over this budget, and I have made it very clear that the most important thing that we are responsible for outside of life safety is being good stewards of taxpayer money. And as you will see, we're not planning on buying new big screen TVs. We're not planning on putting up an electric billboard sign up in front of the station. Everything that you see there, you see $5,000 in firefighting and rescue equipment. That is a drop in the bucket to what we actually need. We are running around here with extremely old equipment, and but it still works. It still works, but we certainly do not have anything close to the latest, greatest equipment out there. I'm feeling very good about the way we are moving forward. As Lieutenant Carr suggested, over the course of the next 6 months, we're gonna be looking very closely at going back to the taxpayers and talking to them about maybe asking for a small raise in the taxpayer in their levy. There's two reasons for that. Number one is, as Lieutenant Carr was pointing out, we have a bond measure that was passed in 2015, which bought the water tender in 2016 and, or 16 and 17, something like that. And that's 21 cents per thousand that they're paying on top of the 214 that they're paying right now. That's going to drop off next year. That'll be paid off. That final bond will be paid off. In addition, one side note to that is this, we've also discovered that the amount of money we've been putting into the account to pay the bond was a lot more than was actually needed. So we are actually sitting good in that respect. But what I'm saying is that we can go to the taxpayers and say, 21 cents is about to drop off your taxes, 21 cents per thousand. And now we're only gonna ask for an additional 55 cents or something like that to get us up to a tax rate, which is actually going to be no more than what they're paying in Columbia River, Scappoose, and, well, actually less than Scappoose and Clatskanie. So, and that will give us the opportunity to look at more staffing, actually even possibly to keep existing staffing. That's a question that we have if the coming budget. If we're still gonna be able to have 4 FTE firefighters, the budget will certainly, or a levy would certainly increase those odds of us being able to do that. The next budget, if we don't pass it, could be extremely. We're gonna have to prepare 2 budgets. I'm not done. We're gonna have to prepare 2 budgets next year. You're gonna see 2 budget documents. One is gonna say if we get the levy, which should occur sometime in May, and one if we don't.
Right.
So just be prepared for that next year. And again, I do not want to ask the taxpayers for a whole bunch of money. What I want to ask them for is enough for us to keep our current staffing and maybe looking at some additional part-time staffing, replace some outdated equipment, and do the things that we want to do. And nobody likes to pay taxes, and we're fortunate enough that fire departments are usually more successful in that respect. The one thing that I will tell everybody in this room that's wearing a uniform is that in order for us to be successful with the budget, that going forward, and it's been my mantra since day one, is do goodest. And we will continue out there to be the shining lights in this community. And people are going to be extremely pleased and thrilled with the way this fire department operates, behaves, and provides service. And next May, they may go, yep, these guys are doing a great job, and they need a little more to keep that work up. We're gonna do it. So I'll get off my high horse. That's one.
Can I interject anything here?
Of course, you're on the budget committee.
I just want to say this, that, a fire district or fire service is not an absolute. In other words, it's not a constant that just stays the same. It constantly evolves and changes. So with those changes comes additional cost, additional personnel, additional equipment. And I think the way you're headed in the direction you're going is absolutely spot on. And I know I'm quite certain that next year when it comes time to look at the potential of tax levy increase, we all need to be on our A game and be out there promoting it and encouraging our community. I'm an old guy, but I've been around a long time and know a lot of people, and our influence that we can have with these people in the next year, not waiting till the last minute, but talk about what's going on now and the improvements that we've seen.
I hope to fill you on some more really good things that have been happening the past several weeks around the district, and I'll talk about it at the board meeting. Some of the things that we've done in the past month, which includes I brought in all the timber industry into this room and had a really excellent meeting with them and made some partnerships that I think are going to be very helpful.
Good.
But supporting the timber industry, which is the largest economic boon in this community, that is really going to, further our goodest.
Yes.
So as for the budget, that's the budget document. So I guess now I think we're at the point where you guys gotta.
Well, is there any more comment? Steve, do you have anything?
No, I think, aren't you about to the point for a nomination to accept the budget that's been proposed?
About that, I just want to make sure that everybody's had their say, everybody's been heard.
Sure.
James, are you still awake?
Unconscious, I'm sure.
James, you're muted.
We got a welfare check.
I wish we could unmute him just to see what, you know. Dangerous.
Yeah, no.
Did I text him?
Oh, there he
What
is.
are you on? Yeah, we can hear you.
Do you have any comment, James?
What's that, sir?
Any comments
I
or
have-
questions?
I have none.
And do we have any,
Well,
is this all we
I
have? Do we
guess
have
I-
any yeah, go ahead.
I guess one comment is I am very grateful for Brandon taking this and doing a fantastic job with it. It's not easy.
Appreciate that.
Another plaque.
Yeah, exactly. And is that it for, do we have any members of the public online?
We're definitely putting you on this one.
Or is that it? No, just, there's three. That's it. That's everybody that's there. Okay, so I assume that that means there's no comment from the public. Okay. So is there going to be a need for additional meetings, guys?
No, as long as we get the typos corrected.
Shannon, you feeling okay about this?
Yeah.
Steve, Pam, are you guys feeling okay about the budget as presented?
Absolutely. Looks really good. I just wished I'd have had Carr around when I was chief.
Right? Hey, you know, if we had him around earlier, maybe we would not be sitting in the position that we're in right now.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, well, with that, then I will take a motion to approve this budget.
And what does the resolution say then?
I will make a motion to approve 2024, 2025.
They got two resolutions, right?
No, it's one. So all one. Well, they have to approve the
This.
budget and the tax rate, but it'll all go in one resolution to the board.
Yep.
Okay, do we have that resolution available?
But they don't have to read it.
So James, George, did I hear you say that you made a motion to accept this with the typos that we've discussed? With the corrections?
Yes, I
As
did.
as amended, okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Oh,
All right, Pam seconded. And roll call. James,
Aye.
Shannon,
aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
James George. He's muted again.
Oh, you're muted.
Aye.
There we go. Neil Kennedy, aye. We have a unanimous decision. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the proposed tax rate?
I'll make a motion to approve the tax rate.
first thing.
What was that, James?
I move to approve the tax rate. Motion to approve the tax rate.
Okay. We have a motion on the table. Was there a second?
Second.
Yep, Shannon has seconded this.
You want to get her involved.
Absolutely.
She's ready next year.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. James,
Aye.
Shannon,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
James George,
Aye.
Neil Kennedy, aye. Motion carries unanimous. And with that, does anybody have anything for the good of the order? Then I say that we are adjourned at 8:15 PM.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, guys.
guys. Hey, my
Steve, read
cheeks
your
aren't all
text
red.
message.
My cheeks aren't all red because my wife's been beating on him. It's so sunny down here and she's worked to death outside.
There's your welfare check.
Have a good evening, guys.
Good night, Steve.